Welcome to the Leap Exit Strategy Guide. This will take you through all the available options and how they work. So starting off with stop loss, you can add as many stop loss levels as you want, but for this example, I'll just be showing one, as that's personally how I run it. So the first box is the decrease in percentage from your P&L. So let's put 30, and then 100 represents the total amount of that coin that you want to sell. This means if the coin had gone down 30%, it would have sold all of your holdings. Next we have take profits. For this, I'll show you multiple levels, as I often run multiple levels. So let's say you were up 50% profit. You would then sell 25% of your holdings with this setup. If you then went up to 100% profit, you'd sell a further 50%. And then finally, let's say the coin went really well and it went up to 200%, you would then sell the remaining 100%. It's really important you always put 100 in the last take profit, as you want to sell all the remaining holdings that you have. Next we move on to my personal favorite exit strategy, and that's unlimited drop mode. This is like a very, very advanced trailing stop loss and enables you to make the most out of every trade. So first of all, you have the three boxes: your profit target, your sell amount, and the floor. The profit target represents your current P&L, the floor represents the stop loss, and the sell amount represents the amount of that token you want to sell. So let's say we set the profit target to 50%. This would mean when you're up 50%, the first level would be activated. Then we have the floor, which means the stop loss. So that means if you went up 50%, and then the trade went back down to only 10% profit, it would automatically sell 100% of that trade. However, if you went past 50% without going back down to 10%, and then you reached your second level of 75%, that would mean the second floor is activated. So by this, you've gone from 50, you didn't touch 10, you're now up to 75% profit, and then the floor of level 2 is now activated. So for this, we'll use 30%. You can obviously increase or decrease as you feel fit. Then let's add another level above that. What this enables you to do is basically make the most of the trade as it goes up in value. So let's put 150% for level 3. Again, I always like to sell 100% whenever my stop loss is hit. And now we're going to raise the floor to 80%. So this means instead of just having one take profit where you sell everything, you're able to basically ride the trade as it goes up in value. So finally, let's put 200, 100, and then on your last floor level, because effectively that is just the point it will always sell at, you may as well put one less than your target profit. Obviously, if I was running this properly, I'd put 30 to 40 levels, but just as an example, my last one will always be one less than the profit target. Once you've made that, you can click Save Preset, name it whatever you want, for example, Leap Guide, and click Save. This will enable you to go into any other mode of any other task and input your preset that you've just created. This means that you don't have to make a 30 level one every time you're making a task, and will save you a lot of time in the long run. Next we have Sell on Migrate. This is very simple, and it just enables you to sell the token when it migrates, whether on dynamic bonding curve, bonk, or pump fund. And then you just insert the amount you want to sell. So for example, 50% of your holdings when it migrates. Then we have Sell After Time. So this is if you want it to sell after a certain amount of time, no matter of the profit. So just input the amount of times in seconds that you would want to wait after buying. So for example, 30 seconds, it would sell all of your current holdings. Similarly to that, we have Sell on Curve. So the way this works is you just input the percentage of the curve that you would like to sell at, and it will sell 100% of your holdings at that point. So if you wanted to sell just before it migrates, i.e. 96%, you would just tip that and confirm there. Next, we have Use Trailing Sell. Now this is very useful, although personally I prefer Drop Trader, although the choice is yours. The trailing threshold represents the amount below the all-time high that you want to sell at. For example, 30%. That means if you went up 50% and then back down to only 20% profit, it would sell. The sell amount is the amount you want to sell when that threshold is hit. And then the trailing start. So this is where you can do, and you can put, let's say, 50 in here, and that means that your trade won't start trailing until you've got to 50% profit. What that means is if you were only at 5% profit and it went down to 25%, it wouldn't stop you out, which is a really helpful thing about having the trailing start. Finally, we have sell if no movement, and this is very simple but useful for making the most out of Discord groups where they may be starting to lose the energy. So for example, you have a no movement timer. This is represented in seconds, the no movement percentage, and then the no movement sell. So what this means is if the coin didn't go up or down by more than 15% in the first 30 seconds, you would sell 100%.